Hello, my absolutely beautiful astrology soulmates, and welcome to your horoscope for April of 2024, where we're going to discuss in this video what is going down for all 12 signs. So make sure you click in the description box down below and listen to the signs either by your rising sign or by your sun sign, but they're all in the description box down below. But I want to also encourage you to listen to the general reading portion in the beginning here before you jump to your particular sun sign, so that a lot more context can be available for you. And always, 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 the best thing to do to really make this astrology real is to jump into your own chart. If you are not prepared to do that, but you feel like there's some endings, changings, unfoldings, you just want to learn, one of the best things you can do is hire an astrologer, bring an astrologer and work with one of us. It doesn't have to be me. There are other beautiful astrologers all over the astrological community, but I would love to work with you, of course, but bring an astrologer in. This is what we spend our time and our lives being trained to do. So if you are interested in finding out what is in the cosmic sky for April of 2024, this is definitely your video. Now, we have got Mercury retrograde. We've got a solar eclipse that's happening. We've got a full moon in Scorpio that I also think has a great deal of impact and will drive us back to looking at things that began in October of 2022. And not to mention, we've also got the Jupiter and Uranus conjunction. So it is a month where I can tell you, in terms of really big, powerful aspects, there's not a ton of them happening in the sky. The transits are not like really, really big this month. And so when that happens, when we have a month where the sky is not so busy with big movements, it is a clue to us that something is already here and it's being actually worked out. And the thing I like about it is that you almost have a little bit of space and time to take a deep breath and look around and then courageously make decisions to move forward in the direction that you would like to go. So this month is definitely all of that. We're going to need some courage this month, but there's also some space to breathe. Now, if we haven't met before, I'm Dr. Stormie Grace. I am a practicing professional astrologer, and I love being here with you. If you like learning, hearing about astrology, you want to become astrologically fluent and speak the language of astrology, this is definitely the place to do it. We have a beautiful community here, so if you're not joined up with us and subscribed, I would love for you to do that. The Soulmate Family Tribe here are a group of beautiful people who love astrology, really helpful to one another, and if that's something you could use in your life, is feeling like you have a place to call home, learn, and get support, this community is definitely the place to do it. So definitely hit the subscribe button and join us, okay? Now, before we jump in, I want you to make sure you go over and check out the video I did on the solar eclipse happening in Aries. So make sure you just click in and you check that out. I break it down for all signs as well in the description box, but you want to get all the deep, gushy details, including the lunar family that the eclipse is going to belong to, so you can really see how it's creating these shifts, especially because this particular solar eclipse that's happening this month is a total solar eclipse. I mean, it is a full reset. This is a full reset. You're not getting a mini course correction. This is a full resetting of your emotional availability, your courage, and your clarity about the direction that you're going to be going in. So I want you to have all of the pieces to work this through in your own life and in your own chart. That's when the astrology gets good. You can listen to all of the astrologers here on YouTube or wherever you listen, and if you only get the general idea, you will miss out on the richness of how astrology is actually speaking to you. So make sure you check it out. Grab your chart. If you don't have a chart, get one for free online. You can go to pretty much any website. You can also come and get one from me. Click in the description box down below, where not only is there access to your full natal chart plus a report, but I have lots of other goodies in that description box down below, including the things that are on offer this month, okay? All right, let's talk about April, because it is, you know, it's a month where I think it's not very busy astrologically, but it's really concentrated in terms of what's happening, has a lot of power. And the power is such a it's such an inside job, because we also have Chiron in the mix with changes that are happening right now. And Chiron has been, you know, Chiron, the wounded healer, and in Aries has been the wound to the identity, who I think I am, who I believe I am, how I'm supposed to show up in the world. For some people, you're clearing out things about your identity that's not even the identity that's happening in this lifetime. It's happening so far back. And I want to be clear on this statement, right? I'm an evolutionary astrologer, so we definitely look into your past past lives and where you've been before and what you're bringing in. But sometimes you have 2 lives in your lifetime, and you have an opportunity with this Chiron energy now going back into a different you in this lifetime, and you're actually needing to take some courage to finish that portion of the healing journey. But what it also brings with you is a really deep and clear understanding of why that was so painful, what the wound was about, how you've come to the other side, and how you can also make that available to help someone else come out of whatever their troubles are. So this month, when Chiron gets involved, the inside job perspective really becomes a bit more intense. Now, the world around us is changing as well. So who you thought you were or how you thought you were going to be able to get things done has really also been challenged by a change of energy. Pluto moving into Aquarius. If you thought, I'll never use AI, I'll never be involved in tech, I'll never put my business online, I'll never, this month is getting you very clear that it is like, yeah, no, you will, right? You're going to have to find your way in moving forward in the world that is also shaping around. Now, Mercury is going to be going retrograde right at the beginning of the month on the 1st in the vibration of Aries. So as first of all, we're starting the month on a Mercury retrograde, we know that we are going back over, right? We are reviewing, we're going back, you're re-editing, reconnecting. Maybe you're even reconnecting with something. Maybe you're reconnecting with that old identity. Maybe you're reconnecting with just the identity of yourself. Now, to be very specific, I would ask you to go back into your chart, back into March 18th, where we saw Mercury step into its pre-retrograde shadow time at 15 degrees and 59 minutes of Aries. So go back, because between March 18th and now, April 1st, when we see Aries actually taking that retrograde, something's already been in your wheelhouse in this Aries vibration. So as Mercury goes retrograde at 27 degrees of Aries, what was going on for you in these days? What was coming up? And maybe what it was even it's like you've been working on something, you've been trying to develop something. You're like, yes, Stormie, I hear you about the new me, this new identity that's trying to take courage, but I haven't been able to fully bring it to form. This is going to be a time where you get to kind of work out the kinks a little bit, so that especially after the eclipse comes in here, you're able to help usher this thing forward. But it's really another time too, I think, with Mercury retrograde, where we're called to remember that you're not going to think your way faster, more smooth, or around the universe, right? You're not going to make it happen. You're not, because Aries wants to just ram. I'll just ram my head into it. I'll put my head down and ram through it, right? And the universe is not going to have that. You're shaping, you're reshaping, you're reforming of your identity, the mind that you're going to need to have to live and be and work in the vibration of your new identity. It's taking time to kind of get molded. And what that can feel like for us is, I've been working on this. Why isn't it happening right now? You know, very Aries, like now, let's do it right now. How come it's not working for me? Not to mention, the ruling planet of this Aries energy at the beginning of the month is still traveling through the vibration of Pisces. So the more you push, the more frustrating it can be, the more you're going to exhaust and you're going to burn out and you lose faith, right? So instead, even as Mercury is retrograding here in this Aries vibration, one of the things I think we're called to remember is that your shaping is coming. And I have said this in the weeklies for the last few weeks, but to remember that what you're working on is working. All work works, right? It's either working and you're learning something and it's working on you and it's shaping you and helping you have courage and changing your mind and changing the way that you communicate. It's bringing you Mercury, new information and knowledge on how to use something you already had, or the courage to get rid of something that you don't need anymore. So it's either working for you or on you and changing you, or working for you, which means you got it. It's clicked in place. This new identity gets a little bit more how to work, and you're able to build and move that thing forward. But it's all happening at kind of a slower pace. Now, the other thing the Mercury retrograde brings our attention to spot on is whatever you planned, it may have some hiccups. It may simply have some hiccups. You maybe have to redo that, recalibrate, you know, whatever it is. You might have been like, yep, we're starting this class on this date and it's going to go like this. And then you're having to back it up. Or you thought, I will have lost my first 10 pounds by this date, and you have to back it up because you get something else going on, right? Whatever it is, make space to to slow down, redo, review, go back over, reconnect, re-edit. You're going to go back. So that is the energy that is going to require your courage as well, because just because whatever's gone on, you have to take a step back or you have to take a step in a different way. I think this is where your courage is being called to remember that, first of all, it's not wrong. Sometimes I have to step back before I can really efficiently and effectively step forward. But I have to have the courage to believe that I'm not a failure, that it's not all going wrong, that this is the wrong path, or the courage to say, oh, I see very clearly when I step back that this is not the right path for me, whichever direction it's taking you. And the house in your chart will help you sort out exactly what this is. It's going to take courage in order to be in your belief, and then also the courage to move forward when it's time to do so. So we'll be experiencing that, and Mercury will come out of retrograde on April 25th, back at that 15 degrees of Aries. But I want you to keep in mind that we work with the full cycle on this channel. So not until we get to May 13th and we see Mercury get back to the 27 degrees of Aries is the entire cycle over. So as you're taking note, and you're looking at your world, remember you're looking all the way from March 18th going all the way till May 13th to see exactly what house that 15 to 27 degrees of Aries is working in for you, and exactly what are the lessons that are connected to that housing area. So grab your chart and take a look at that, okay? Now that's just kicking us off, getting us into the month, right? We're just starting off with a little mental backwardsness as we're working with that energy. But next we've got to keep in mind that we've got this Aries solar eclipse that is coming in. And again, this is, it's a total eclipse. So first of all, it is still the new moon. So we're going to plant our seeds of intention to be beginning something new. Right? We're bringing something new to fruition. We're planting our seeds of where I want to have courage, where I want to move something forward. But this particular new moon is not, it's not traveling by itself. This moon is also wrapped up with the North Node is in orb. We've also got Chiron in the mix here. It is a really busy moon as we are looking at it. So it makes it quite dynamic. So one of the things that this particular new moon that caught my attention immediately is that yes, we've been working in the Aries and Libra eclipse zone for a while. So these things that have been popping up in Libra, especially the eclipse that we had in March in Libra, which showed you, okay, these things have to go because you've had too much dependence on them. There's been too much codependency in this particular area. So we need to get a different relation to them. We need to let these go. But in order to let them go, you've needed to work more in the Aries zone. And that is, you have to take the action. I'm required to take the action in order to create the release from what I've had too much of that codependent balance on. So while the Libra eclipse maybe made it clear what's going on and what I need to make a release from, the Aries solar eclipse is the courage to step forward and start to make those changes. And somewhere in there, what happens in this opposition is they actually work themselves together into an interdependence where there's a healthy balance in the things and the people that you have relation to, not an overly dependent, or to the other side, you don't get to be overly hyper independent, right? Because in our relationships with whatever it is, money or people or places, if it's just I do everything all the time, it's all me, it's all on me to the point where I can't even be kind and trusting of other people in my world, right? The hyper independence can be the problem as well, but we likely saw that or have been having experiences at that Libra point as well, because the Libra point, if it's hyper independence, if that's where your energy and your lessons have been, the ability to form a true partnership with another human being or the ability to form a true partnership with this divine universe has probably eluded you for quite some time. And what that can feel like is, why don't my relationships stay? Why don't I feel attractive? Why do I hate my job? How come I can't make or keep money? And these are, you know what I mean? They damage relationships. So as we're here on the Aries side, you're able to say, okay, where do I get to make the courageous leadership decision to begin trusting? But it's an eclipse. This may be something completely different for you in your living frame, right? Because Chiron is also here. So something about your identity is taking a hit in order to have the courage to walk forward. So if it's like, I need to really start to trust my business partner or trust my husband, or I need to take courage to do those things. Chiron could also be shooting up a story from the past that's like, yeah, but remember, we didn't trust because of this, or we didn't do this because of this. But the eclipse creating this whole new arrangement. It's like it blots out and gives you a reset where you get to go, that is true. That is a part of an identity I used to have, how I used to use those behaviors because I needed to survive. But where I think Chiron can also get good with this eclipse is that it says, but we're not that person anymore. And there's a new potential in the world if I have the courage to move towards, and more importantly, be taught how to move towards a different identity on this planet, move towards my healing journey. Because Chiron is not just about the wound. At this point, you've had the wound to the identity. You know who you are. You know what you've done, the shame, the blame, all of the things. And sometimes it's not any of those things. Sometimes it's simply like, you know, you're not 20 anymore, but you're still living and believing that you're going to move and groove and get down like you're in your 20s. And that level of thinking and belief is actually keeping you stuck in a wound, right? But Chiron here is like, I'm not that anymore. I've done some healing work. I'm ready to move the journey forward. And it takes courage to be able to do that. So at this eclipse, we are really opened up to that level of energy. And that will change over the next 6 months. Your changes are in order here. This is really powerful. And remember, you're maybe going on a journey that you never have been. You don't have all the answers. So you're having to also invite teachers to help you move forward. And this is where I actually get very, very excited about the Jupiter and Uranus conjunction that's going to be happening here on April 20th. Because as Jupiter and Uranus come together, first of all, Jupiter is bringing a wise teacher. Okay, Uranus is in Taurus, like it's been shaking, not stirring, this area of your chart of values, where it is, as these two have been working in Taurus in the first place, they have really been making you question your values, what you believe about them, what your wisdom is about it. But Uranus's role here in Taurus, I think, has been to wake up a really fixed area of your chart, of your belief system, of what you value, and make you go, do I really believe that anymore? Is that really valuable to me anymore? So at 21 degrees of Taurus in your chart, look around. What housing area is this for you in your chart? And do you still value what you used to value? Going all the way up to 2018, because really from 2018 until now, like we've been seeing changes in this Taurus area of your chart, right? It's been getting waken up. And one of the other things that I want to point out here with the Uranus energy is your sacred pelvic bowl, right? The way that we have valued feminine energy has really been awakened, and some of it has been incredibly painful. This idea of for that feminine energy, I always have to do it, I always have to hold it down, a forgetting that feminine energy works in a receptive quality, and the ease it has brought up, the ease at which you rest, the ease at which you accept and interact with pleasure, the ease at which you accept and interact with abundance. And more importantly, I think here is the ease and willingness you have to trust a masculine container or vibration. And these are huge questions that we are seeing globally being blown open. And Uranus has brought the question of, what do you really value? Is waking that pelvic bowl up? Are you still mad at that ex-lover? Did you have this expectation from the world and how the world is supposed to treat you? Did your society tell you a story of what would make you safe and secure? And now you're finding out that that has really not brought you anything into your life that you're thrilled about. Have you missed being in feminine energy? Do you even have any idea what that is, right? So it has really hit a lot of people in that pelvic bowl and waken up a fair amount of fear. But as Jupiter has come, Jupiter always brings the wise teacher as well. First of all, it brings the wise teacher up and out of you, but then it also brings the wise teacher in to your life. So as we're talking about this eclipse and Chiron and the healing and the things you need to step towards and the world being different, when Jupiter and Uranus come together, they bring this teacher to help you sort out your new values. First of all, it's like process of deduction. You've been figuring out what you don't value anymore, and it's probably been some heavier things. Maybe some more ease is what you're finding out what you do value, but how do you do things in a way that's more easy? Jupiter, you get a teacher. You bring in a coach, you bring in a teacher, you bring in somebody so that you don't have to do all of the heavy lifting. You invite and you begin a relationship with ease, receptivity, abundance, and awareness. Because oftentimes, think about this too, we don't really have messed up relationships with Venus energy, like abundance. We typically don't have really messed up relationships with abundance. Typically what happens is we lack awareness, right? We lack awareness that the abundance is right in front of us. So you have this opportunity as these two come together to have these sudden teachers, sudden opportunities, real course corrections on what you value, and they bring teachers into your life. They bring any feelings that were repressed up and out of you so you can see what to do and how to work with them. Because essentially what you're looking for with Jupiter and Uranus coming together is you're looking for an ultimate opportunity to create a disruption that is the most beautiful and useful and valuable course correction to responsibilities and ideas and ideals that you were carrying that you don't want to carry anymore. And this is really kind of cool when we look at how much more ease this could bring into the world, right? So all of this said, beautiful friends, we've got a month where absolutely plenty is happening. And then I think as we pull it together and we look at this Scorpio full moon that is going to be our last lunation for the month, this is so telltale. First of all, go to it in your own personal chart. Absolutely find the Scorpionic place in your chart and look at, where we've got this 4 degrees of Scorpio popping off for you, because the full moon is going to give us all the light. It's going to ask us to end something, acknowledge something, or to make an adjustment, right? But we get to see it for what it is. Now, in the light of everything we will have experienced during the month, and then we come to this Scorpio full moon, and it has to do with control and power dynamics. And one of the biggest control and power dynamics we get to come to and see how we revalue it or how we integrate AI technology, this new identity, the new world into our lives is going to be to look at the dark ways that we absolutely engage it. Hands down, how often are you checking out, whether it's with drugs, alcohol, food, chasing relationships that are absolutely not meant for you, the self-sabotage, you get right there to a project and you let it go because what are you doing? You got to flip through a reel, a TikTok, or whatever. How engaged are you on your phone? Are you able to be still and fully present, or as fully present as humans can be with other people without picking up your phone? Right? Are you able to make it through your day without having to turn on someone's YouTube channel to get your guidance? Where are you in being tapped into your own guidance system? Because we have to look at this in terms of power dynamics. Where do the influences of media and information also have a lot of control in how you're living and how you have this control dynamic going. Where are you with your concepts of death? I was listening to something my daughter brought up. She was like showing me a channel and it was funny, and we're like listening to it, and then we're kind of talking about it. And in the video, I could not believe this. We're not allowed to say death anymore. You have to say unalived, which really was like shocking to me. It was just absolutely shocking. And so in these concepts in your own world, I would ask you at this Scorpio full moon, where are you with your own identification and understanding and acceptance of death, of that things break down, they decay, they change, and granted, they get the opportunity to transform and rise in a different way. But where is your current dynamic and power struggle with these kinds of concepts, or debt, or detoxing in your life? So this full moon has an opportunity to do a lot of illumination as we are traveling with it. The other thing I would be looking for at this particular full moon, just looking at the fact that it is in conversation with Pluto, And at this point, we're still going to see that Mars, at least for a couple days, is still in this Pisces area. So I would be asking you to honestly look as we get to April 23rd as well, if you have power dynamics within your own life where there is manipulation or something's been like, it's been kept a secret. And it doesn't necessarily mean it's been purposely kept a secret, but like the information was just not revealed and clear. And then at this full moon or very quickly thereafter, something's coming up where you're like, whoa, I need to deal with that. And this can also look like subconscious fears that have really just been owning your behind and stopping you from moving forward, stopping you from living in alignment with the new values that you want to bring into your life and into reality. So, you know, and fear, you know, do you have something in your life that is stopping you from fully trusting the vibration of the universe, fully stopping you from trusting that you are held, supported, and protected along your journey? So there's going to be a lot, I think, that comes up. And so thank goodness it is not a month where there's tons and tons and tons of transits going on that are really, really huge. We've got enough to work with right here. Now, that said, to bring it all together for the general, this month is powerful. I think it is power, and I think it's a little bit more impactful than March and certainly May will be. We'll get things happening in May, but I think this month is a little bit more powerful because we have such an inside job that is going to be presenting itself, and we get to course correct. You get to be flexible and have courage to not only walk through and walk towards where you want to go next, but the courage to be powerful and be present when it's time to hold and let the universe shape the things it needs to before you move forward. The thing I would leave you with in the general before you jump into your each individual sign is to remember that you are loved, held, and supported by the universe. Absolutely. The only thing that happens is you forget or you lose contact with it. So connect as often as you can, and all work works. It is either working on you and turning you into the person that can hold that next vibration, or it's working for you and it's bringing the vibration from you into material, mental, or emotional form of what it needs to be next, okay? All right, my beautiful friends, make sure you click in the description box down below to find your individual sign. And yes, you can listen for your rising or your sun sign. And also make sure you check out all the beautiful special offers, classes, videos that can help you along your astrological journey in the description box down below. Love you guys. Hey, my absolutely beautiful Aries friends. So this month is an absolutely beautiful time for you to begin this nice reinvention of the Aries self. And we're starting out the month on the 1st, having Mercury go retrograde in your sign in Aries. So first and foremost, it's still a Mercury retrograde. So be mindful of any communication device, signing contracts, these kinds of things. Now, if you have Mercury retrograde in your chart, then yeah, come on out here, sign it all. You know, live your best life. You are in really good season. And it's nothing to be afraid of, even if you don't have Mercury retrograde in your natal chart. The retrograde period is just a time for review. And more than anything, Aries, I would ask you to look at things about yourself that aren't important anymore. You know, take this time between the 1st and the 25th, because we'll see Mercury retrograde then direct, but going all the way until May 13th. What don't you need about yourself anymore? You've outgrown it. That's a wound that you have healed from. So your reinvention also has to do with like going into your proverbial identity closet and cleaning out what's not real for you, and then sticking to your guns, right? You don't need to back down to the old identity anymore if that's not going to be a part of what is genuinely going to take you forward. Now, the other side I want to say, Aries, is you don't have to do so much of the heavy lifting. You just get to go into your life, shine a little flashlight at these things that you're rethinking, re-editing, re-envisioning for yourself, and say, I don't actually believe that anymore, or it's not useful, right? And let the universe do the heavy lifting. Let the universe take it away, because you're no longer in vibration with that. So it's absolutely a great month for it. But what is happening this month will also play out down the road. Now, something else to think about here is because Mercury also is in your sign, but it serves in the general as your 6th house ruler as well. I did have this thought that there could just be changes in things going on at work. One could be you're actually stepping into more leadership. or you're stepping out of leadership. But whatever it is, it indicates to me that certainly there are some job changes that will be affected over this next 6 months that likely put you in the position to be exactly where you would like to be, and nothing less than that, which is absolutely a beautiful thing for you, Aries. So I'm really excited to celebrate that. Okay, when we get to the 4th, we see Venus now moving into Aries. So Venus coming into Aries, first of all, is an attracting energy. So you're going to begin looking at how you attract things to you. This could also be a time, Aries, right here in your 1st house where you're genuinely looking at your style. You know what I mean? Like, you know, maybe is it time? Do you need to look at how you're actually treating and dressing and loving on your physical body? Do you take pleasure in your body, your aesthetic? Do you take pleasure in how your external environment that you live in on a daily basis feels, looks, tastes, and smells? So whatever that is for you, just remember that Venus, though, is an attracting an energy, which is also as equally good, I think, because Venus is also happy to attract in financial things. So yes, we have some financial investment that is going on. And even though Venus is moving into your 1st house of Aries, Venus also rules your 2nd house, and it also will rule your 7th house, being Taurus and Libra houses. So really, truly, through relationships or some dynamics coming together, you have an opportunity to be pulling in some really nice energy. I do want you to be mindful that I think at the end of the month, closer to the end of the month, there may be something going on in a partnership sector where you're like having to output a little bit more money than you planned for, but just have a hold on your budget, and I think that this will be all right. On the 8th, we've got this new moon solar eclipse, and this is happening at 19 degrees of Aries. If you haven't watched my solar eclipse video in Aries, make sure that you check it out. But at this particular point in the month, you want to know this is an eclipse in your sign. So really, truly, this is your sign that reinvention is here. It's on, it's now. You can take this on and begin to move yourself forward. This also, because it's a total eclipse, Aries, will reset your energy in the world, how people have even been able to see and receive you. So it's an awesome month for letting the universe do the heavy lifting, but also starting to take your steps forward very courageously into who you would like to be. Because Aries can sometimes be a very good number 2. You're not always the best at being the leader, even though you have this fiery Aries energy. But this time in the world and this time in your life is calling you to move from being number 2 to really being number 1. Like, you're that person. You're the leader. You choose how this ship is going forward. And I think this is an extraordinarily big deal for you, okay? So as we continue on through the month, after you've made all these like big Aries decisions, on the 19th, we see the sun move into the vibration of Taurus. So the 2nd house in your general chart is going to light up. So now this is bringing light, heat, life, and vitality to your money, to the way that you make money, creative talents you use to make money, your possessions, your relationships, they all get lit up under this particular energy. So the month begins to be, again, even more Venusian. You really have this attraction vibration available to you. So attract, attract, attract. Realize you only need to have courage and push and go to war in a certain way, but the rest is really about your ability to powerfully, firefully attract to you, okay? On the 23rd, we've got the full moon. It's happening at 4 degrees of Scorpio. I'll be making the video about this particular full moon as well, so make sure you check it out. But what you do want to know is that this full moon is shedding light on what you need to acknowledge, you need to end, or you need to make an adjustment to. And it's really something having to do with this had power for you for a long time, and the power is just not there anymore, and you've got to release it. It's going to let things that were maybe secret, whether it's in you or in your circumstances, come to light so that you can powerfully make these adjustments, okay? Now, we've also got before that, I don't want to miss it, we have got on the 20th, the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction, and this is again happening in your 2nd house. So looking for really powerful financial resets for you. This could be a windfall, I almost said downfall, but I don't think it's your downfall if you've got your budget together. But it could be a more powerful windfall or something financial financially really good that comes to you, especially if you've stepped up and you said, okay, no, this is what I'm willing to do, this is what I'm not willing to do, and you make that decision. When Aries makes a decision to go towards something, that something starts to be like, all right, Aries, I got you, I heard you, and it comes as equally towards you. And it's also a resetting of your values. What you value at this particular Jupiter-Uranus conjunction will start to show its face and bring that value and that vibration into your life. I absolutely love it. On the 25th, Mercury turns direct in Aries. Now remember, we're not done with this all the way until May 13th, so keep your eye on what you're still reviewing and dumping out, per se, what you don't need anymore, Aries, because it's not useful, or it's like, that's just not who I am anymore. And embrace the things that are coming in and the new ways you communicate yourself, the new ways that other people even communicate with you. When we get to the 30th, we see Venus moving out from that Aries vibration into Taurus. Again, so Venusian this month, pulling in. Venus is calling in those relationships. It's calling in those financial opportunities. And as we close out the month on the 30th, we see Mars, your ruling planet, coming back into your sign, into your first house, feeling powerful, feeling ignited, feeling ready to go with the adjustments that have been pointed out to you, surprises that have been pointed out to you, and you're feeling a lot more powerful. Now, remember, when Mars comes home, you need to be in your vitality, Aries. So if you're not working out, you don't have that workout life together, if your energy, your physical body has been stagnant for too long, Aries, you've got to get it moving. You are our fire energy. You have a big job to do so. Own your element, move your body in whatever ways, get your fire going and keep your fire going so that you can also burn off all the BS that's not Aries anymore. All right, beautiful Aries, have a gorgeous month. Hello, my absolutely beautiful Taurus friends, and welcome to your horoscope for April of 2024, where Taurus, big month. It is a big month. This eclipse, I think, is really important to you in a very behind the scenes kind of way. The entire month really speaks to it. And it speaks to this idea in so much happening in Aries energy and into your 12th house, that from the beginning of the month on, really looking at not just letting your spirituality change as you change and you grow as a human being and all of these kinds of things, but also bringing some really powerful spiritual changes, where it's almost like you realize that something that you believed before was kind of unrealistic, or it doesn't fit anymore, and now you're coming to a different light and life about that. And really specifically, Taurus, because we're looking at so much Aries energy that has to do with so much of this Martian, it's really about actions, I think, that you've been taking, or desires that you've had for yourself, and now they're getting a course correct, because that's what happens when we're dealing with the 12th house. We're getting course corrections to what is in alignment with the spirit for us and what is not, right? Now, the other thing that I want to consider as we're traveling throughout the month, starting right here on the 1st, is that Mercury is going to go retrograde in Aries. So again, we've got this combination of an Aries energy, a Martian energy being asked to review. Now, in the general, Taurus, Mercury rules your second house. It rules a financial house for you. So there is cause to believe for sure that you are going back over something that has to do with your finances. And maybe you've made financial decisions, or you were making financial plans, or you believed something about the abundance and the awareness of your money. And you're having to slow down and reprocess and go back over this. So Taurus, I want you this month to, really use this big, beautiful, steady energy of yours to make these changes, to slow down and relook at where you need to make these course corrections. Now, some of these corrections might also speak to, as well as things going on with something you wanted to take a big risk on, or you're like, I'm going to take this leap right now, or maybe your children were going to take a big risk and you're like needing to kind of dial back maybe some very impulsive decisions you wanted to make, or you need to map a new plan of how you're going to get that thing done. But in the end, it brings a lot of clarity to the direction you actually need to be going. But it is an adjustment from some decisions that you have previously made. Okay. Into the month, on the 1st, we've got Mercury taking that retrograde in Aries. So you want to, first of all, we don't run and hide from retrograde energies, but it is Mercury retrograde. So we're going to be rethinking, reconnecting, re-editing, re-looking over things. And this is all starting at 27 degrees of Aries. So Taurus, grab your chart and see exactly where this is at in your chart. Now we'll see Mercury come out of retrograde on April 25th, back at that 15 degrees of Aries. But it does not leave the entirety of the Mercury retrograde retrograde cycle until we get to May 13th, where it's back to that 27 degrees of Aries. So keep that in mind, that you are reworking, especially some things I think that came in around the 18th of March. They've really got your attention now all the way until we get to the 13th of May. Okay, then we see on the 4th that Venus is coming into Aries, lighting up again more energy into this 12th house space. And this is your place of rest, rejuvenation, things happening behind the scenes. So these are things you're working on that nobody can really see. We can't see it until you express it. So also, Taurus, this is the season before birthday time. You're still in it for like a week. You got like a week before birthday season actually rolls in. So make sure that you have taken time to assimilate what has happened for you in this last year. What have you really learned? What's trash and you can let it go, and what's treasure that you can keep and continue to build forward? Now, when we get to the 8th, we've got the new moon solar eclipse happening at 19 degrees of Aries. If you have not watched my solar eclipse video, make sure you check that out so you can get all those gushy details. But right here, this is a course correction that I think lasts over the next 6 months, which really helps you relook at your spirituality. And I keep getting a sense too, because it's 12th house and it's just so behind the scenes, that you could also be deciding to follow a new teacher where you're like, no, I want to go in this direction, so I need to be taught this, or I need to go this way, or you're going to teach something differently than you have. Either way, the eclipse is doing a nice resetting where you're going to take courage to move in the direction that you want to go and away from some things that have been holding you back, or your relationship to some things that have been holding you back. And the relationship to those things is probably behaviors, actions, and attitudes that you've had in your daily routine. So Taurus, if this is the time where in this 12th house, you've needed to like do the spiritual work in order to get in contact with your money, your eating, your health and fitness practices, your whatever's been happening in your daily routine, this is a season where I think this helps you usher that forward. Then we get to the 19th, Taurus, and happy birthday to you. Okay, happy birthday. Birthday time is on. It is your season. Plant your own seeds of intention for what you would like to begin in your personal new year. It's Taurus season. You're in, you're on. I'm Team Taurus, so yay. Right? So plant your seeds of intention. But here we want to also remember that the sun is bringing light, heat, life, and vitality. So this is an expansion for you in some way. This is, you are motivated to take you in a direction that you would like to go. You are motivated here, Taurus, I think, to let your light shine really bright. But you have to remember, we've got a lot still active and going on in your 12th house space. So take a minute. Let it happen. Let it come in. Be wise and be steady. Dig into your own wisdom so that you can help see the pathway forward. Then just a day later, after the sun comes into your sign, we have got Jupiter and Uranus coming together in Taurus. And this conjunction is a big old deal. It's a big deal for you. It's an opportunity for you to not only cash in on your cosmic cards of going, okay, I know what I want. I know where I want to go. I know what I find value in, because this is really the story, Taurus. You find value in yourself, in this world, in the things that you do in a different way. And now it's time to let that beautiful, fantastic light really shine. And you can be an incredible blessing into the world that you're in if you let yourself personally shine your new development, shine your new beautiful Taurus light that has come to life. Now, for some of you too, because this is a first house, two things. One, I think of things like maybe you've really been waiting a long time to hear something about a pregnancy or a baby or some kind of something like that. And the other thing can be that this can be a real expansion for you out into the world so that we are seeing you, really seeing you in some way, okay? On the 23rd, we're going to have a full moon that's going to be happening in the vibration of Scorpio, so right across the street from you. This is going to light up your 7th house space. So I'm telling you, hands down, the full moon asks you to end something, acknowledge something, or to make an adjustment. We need to adjust in some way to some kind of information that is here. So one of them is going to be in your relationship, scorpionic things. Is there something that's been hidden and hasn't been talked about, whether it's sub or unconscious or just factually been kept a secret? Is there something that's been going on in your relationship where you're like, whoa, I've been working with a high level of like manipulation, or I need to detox these things from my relationship because they're not working out anymore. And remember, when I say relationship, it's just 7th house, conscious, chosen, one-on-one relationships. That means you have chosen these people to be in your life for a reason. It serves a purpose. If you're married, it's because you want to be known as being married. If it's a business partnership, it's because you want that partnership. So where is your conscious chosen one-on-one relationship revealing to you that it's like, whoa, we've had some things going on behind the scenes. The full moon gives you an opportunity to clear those things out or to adjust what you think about the relationship and then get ready to move that thing forward. So watch for that information, okay? On the 25th, we see Mercury coming direct in the vibration of Aries, so right there at that 15 degrees. Again, it's going to be in play all the way until we get to May 13th. Now we get to the 29th, and Venus comes into Taurus, lighting up you. The ruling planet is back home. We're looking good, smelling right. You are magnetic. Literally, be mindful and be excited about the power of attraction you have got going for you. Now, oftentimes when Venus comes to the first house anyways, and you're already Venus ruled, like literally you can be like glowing. You know, people are just attracted to the pure magnetism of you. So use that, right? Use it for good, but get out there and use it. And you could also be like, I'm ready to change my hair. I want a new style. I want, you know, a different aesthetic. Maybe you're changing your house around because you're like, that was 2023 me, but this is 2024's living room. You know, whatever it is, use the Venus and Taurus energy to your favor. Now, as we're going to close out this month on the 30th, we've got Mars, our action planet, moving into the vibration of Aries, okay? So again, this is lighting up some 12th house energy. So some things you've been working on, reviewing, going over, making some decisions, making some cuts, bringing some things to an end in this 12th house space. Now they get a little bit more action, and Mars is clear. So if all month you've had something you've been thinking about, working on, you're kind of working around it, it feels like it's baby stepping forward. When Mars gets into Aries, you're going to go, I'm working on this one thing. I'm working on this one thing only. Okay. And it's really a nice set of energy, I think. Instead of being so much in the Neptunian creation space of all of this and the heavy Pluto and Aquarius vibration of thinking, Mars and Aries is like, take action on this one thing because the rest of this is a distraction and it's killing us. We need to do this one thing. So it's a really, really nice energy to be working with as we close out the month and get ready to travel deeper into Taurus season as we get into May. All right, Taurus, I love you. Check the description box for all of the goods I've got for you, and I will see you next month. Bye. Hey, Gemini. Okay, welcome to April of 2024. So we're going to also step in this month, besides all of the retrograde, the eclipse, all of this good stuff. As we get mid-month, we're going to step into Taurus season, which means that you step into the season where you're going to start resting and start bringing, you know, a culmination of the previous year, into your sphere, because you're going to want to start looking at, what did I learn? How do I pull everything together for the lessons for the last year and get ready for birthday time? But before we do that, we've got plenty of Aries energy bringing the question of your friends, your social life, your social media, your social connections, very much so to the table and to your attention. Okay, right here on the first, we've got Mercury, your ruling planet, stepping into retrograde in Aries. And this lights up your 11th house space. So here, as we're looking at this Mercury retrograde, go to 27 degrees of Aries in your chart, and we're watching between 27 degrees of Aries and 15 degrees of Aries. But what this is lighting up for you in this 11th house space is this question of, who are my friends? Am I a friend, right? Because you can't have friends if you don't know how to be one, right? So who are my friends, and what am I giving and receiving in the social circles that I'm in? Is this the right social circle that I'm in? We've had so much going on in terms of new identities and new information and new thought processes. I mean, we're literally reshaping a whole world together. So looking at if you are connected to social circles that you feel like are the right alignment for you, is really going to be a question. And as we have this Mercury retrograde here, I'm gonna ask you to watch, to be advised, to go, oh, okay, what are we really doing here? And ask these questions. Now, the other thing I'm thinking about with Mercury retrograde here and the rest of the energies that will pour in is that there could be like a friendship or a friendship tie in particular, and you're starting to go, oh, I actually want to be friends, or I want to be in this organization, this social circle, or something like that, because you really feel that it aligns a lot more with where you're at in your own thought processes and your own soul processes. So have a look for that as we're traveling through the Mercury retrograde. And remember, you have all the way until May 13th when Mercury, your ruling planet, officially leaves the retrograde cycle to be working on this, okay? Then when we get to the 4th, we see Venus moving into the vibration of Aries. So again, putting a little bit more impact into this 11th house. But what I love about Venus here is that Venus is an attracting energy. So it's pulling to you, right? So your vibe attracts your tribe. Gemini, what do you want? Where do you want to go next? Where do you want to vibrate right where you are, but in full power? Because your vibe attracts your tribe. But also, you have to work with Venus a little bit. How are you, Gemini, doing in your lessons of beauty? A beauty or a beauty practice or a ritual practice in your 11th house? You know, do you really support the beauty of the people and the organizations around you that you're connected to? If you're in business, do you have an aesthetic with your social media that is actually working for you, not against you? Venus, how are you doing with receiving? This is a huge quality to be looking at how you're doing and learning those lessons, because Venus is a receptive energy. It is not a go-get-it energy. So practice this. How is this going for you? Because if you can let Venus really attract in for you, you can go directly, Aries, at the group, at the friend, at the challenge that is put in front of you, and really be in a sense of not conquering, but in a sense of harmony and alignment with that particular energy. When we get to the 8th, we've got the new moon solar eclipse. This is some more Aries energy. In case you did not get the message about your social circle, Gemini, this is what's up. So in this new moon energy, what we've got is, first of all, check out my video on the solar eclipse so you can get the full meal deal, okay? But what we've got here is, again, another light up into this 11th house space. Now here you're planting your seeds of intention, though, to have the courage to begin this in the direction that you would like something to go. And it will take courage. Now, in March, we saw at the lunar eclipse that there was something on the other side of this in your 5th house where you're like, I have to shed this. I have to let this go. Maybe it can't all be me. Maybe where you have to have the courage to go is to collaborate, not do everything yourself, but to collaborate. Maybe something was happening with your children and you were like, I have to let go and I have to find to the other side how to be a part of groupings and things like that. So in your, oh yes, somebody who was a friend since childhood, you might be letting them go. You're like, this just isn't, we're not here anymore. Something has created a separation or will in this next 6 months there. So keep me posted if that's you, Gemini, in the comment section down below. All right, when we get to the 19th, the sun enters into Taurus. Now, we still have plenty of energy working in your 11th house social space, but right here on the 19th, Gemini, your 12th house starts to get light. So light, heat, life, motivation. But this is the quiet sector of your chart, which calls you in and says, okay, listen, spiritually, how did we do this year? What are the culmination of the spiritual lessons that we have learned? And also starting to pull into the fuel station just a little bit for your rest time. You get to rest a little bit before birthday time, before you have your own rebirth into your annual year. So, you know, the thing I like about the 12th house energy as well, and the fact that we're going to have the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction happening in that 12th house space for you, is they say that when Jupiter gets into the 12th house, you almost get, a spiritual guardian who comes to protect you from whatever lessons you need to learn or absorb or anything you need to go through or that you're working on. And I absolutely love that. So I think that more than anything, besides just bringing the rest, you could also be receiving your download, or it's like something spiritually magical or feels magical or something that feels like just a spiritual blessing comes to you from the 12th house, and it like fills your spirit and your heart cup. Now, in complete other ways too, the 12th house is what we do behind the scenes. So something that you're working on could be getting a really steady boost of energy, where you're like, I couldn't get this to come together. And then you see how the pieces start to work together. So whatever's happening for you, just know that the 12th house time is a slower energy, and it is about creating between the worlds, but also making sure you're working with rest. On the 23rd, we have got a full moon happening in Scorpio. Okay. Now, the full moon is going to ask us to end something, acknowledge something, or to make an adjustment. We need to adjust in some way, okay? So as we're looking at this adjustment, it's going to be to scorpionic things. First of all, where are you still power struggling? What's going on, especially around work? What is happening around work for you, Gemini? And think about it in terms of not just your job, your career, but the daily routine things that happen to make work happen. You know, have you been in transition of your housing, your office, or something like that, and that's created a little disruption? Do you have a process of daily work that is maybe it feels like it's a power struggle or something like that? Are you head to head with coworkers? What is it in the daily work routine? I also want to point out, Gemini, if you happen to be someone who is like maybe you're a freelancer or you employ people, you may find out at this time that it's time to do a little bit of detox or budget check or work and productivity check on the people that you hire to make sure that what you're paying for is what you're actually getting done. Now, the beautiful thing is there's an app for that where you can literally track the people you hire, even if you're a freelance person. So there's help here. Now, the other thing that I think that can be happening here is because it's Scorpio energy and there's such power in it, you could get information that something you have been doing, it's been part of your daily life, that you're not doing it in a way that's very efficient, and it stings to hear that, but then it shows you, oh, I can learn to do this a different way, and it brings it to the surface for you. And then instead of being this like power struggle, it's an empowerment, okay? And that could have to do with your health and fitness and things like that as well. So just kind of keep that in mind, okay? Now, as we get to the 25th, we see Mercury come direct in that vibration of Aries at 15 degrees. So still lighting up this social place. So some of the energies might start to ease up. You feel a little bit clearer, but I do ask you to keep in mind that you've got time all the way till May 13th to say, okay, I'm really clear on exactly what's happening here. On the 29th, Venus moves into Taurus, more stationing energy, pulling into this 12th house space. But again, Venus is an attracting energy. So Gemini, what is your relationship with receiving? What's your relationship with Venus energy, which is to receive, to understand that because something is receiving doesn't make it weak. What's your relationship with that statement? When we're looking at Venus, sometimes what people will think is they have a misunderstanding of abundance. I'm not making the money I want. I'm not pulling in the partners I want. I must not understand abundance. But Venus in Taurus is also about awareness, right? Maybe you have all the abundance you need right in front of you, Gemini, but you're lacking the awareness to see the water right there in your own little desert that you could be going to. So a way to think about this too is to go behind the scenes. Look at behind the scenes where you can bring your awareness to what you can actually do and create something steady out of. And the other thing is the abundance and the awareness of receiving rest, taking rest, right? So really have a look at that because I think it's absolutely lovely. Now, Venus is still Venus. Venus is still Venus. You could be absolutely attracted to somebody who kind of comes out of nowhere. It's like they are a soulmate or something. And you're like, whoa, what just happened here? Where did you come from? So I absolutely love that. Oh, I should say this. If you need funding for a project that you're working on behind the scenes, Venus and Taurus season might be really great and helpful for you. Okay, on the 30th, we see Mars entering into Aries. So now these things you've been thinking about, they've been swirling about, Mars in Aries gets very direct in taking your action. So I love that. Whatever has been going on in this social friendship, social media circle, when Mars gets into Aries and traveling all the way till, what do we get? We get until like June. You're going to be more decisive, right? You're much more decisive in your actions where you're like, I'm doing this. I desire this. So it helps to cut away very Mars energy, to cut away too many of the distractions that have been showing up and help you stay focused in where you would like to create your abundance, your awareness, and take really specific, beautiful action. All right, beautiful Gemini friends, have a great month. Let me know how it goes in the comment section down below. Bye. Hello, my absolutely beautiful Cancer friends, and welcome to your April horoscope, where this month, Cancer, there is a lot going on at the top of this chart. So we're looking at the career area. But remember, in the 10th house, it's not just the career, but it's also the reputation that you carry in public. So what is the title that we call you in public? Because there are major shifts happening in this particular area of your chart. And when I say, what do we call you in public? I want you to think, do we call you husband? Do we call you mother? Do we call you grandmother? Do we call you volunteer? Like, what is the name? If somebody said your name in public, they would know you by. Whatever that particular title is, or whatever we call you in the workplace, this is where those shifts are at. And some of it may not feel particularly clear to you, the direction that things are changing and shifting in. And really, I think a portion of that has to do with not only the eclipse that's happening this month, but it's also happening at the top of your chart. You know, it is a total reset. You have completely new perspective on what you're taking courage to begin in this particular area of your chart. But also right here on the 1st, we've got Mercury going retrograde in the energy of Aries as well. Now, Mercury is going to be taking its retrograde on the 1st, but it's going to leave its retrograde on the 25th, but it will not leave the entire retrograde zone until May 13th. And the degrees in your chart that you're looking at are between 27 degrees of Aries and 15 degrees of Aries. So you want to be watching, you know, between these degrees and really the things that came into your business life or to the top of your chart, your reputation, around March 18th, going all the way till May 13th. These are the dates and the times and the degrees that you are looking for changes to be occurring, okay? So keep in mind, though, that this Mercury retrograde as well is a great time for you, Cancer, to reconsider, what do you want to be called in public? What do you want your reputation to be? What are your ambitions that you have for yourself at this point in your life today? I'm talking about just very current in your world. What do you want to shape for yourself in terms of work and reputation? Now, I do get asked this question that's like, what if I'm not working, I'm unemployed, or I'm retired, or things like that? This also has to do with, what do you want to achieve, or what would you like to go after? What are your new ambitions? So whatever your working or even familial status is, Cancer, you've got an opportunity to make some beautiful changes here. Now, on the 4th, we're going to see that Venus comes into the vibration of Aries. And this is beautiful because Venus acts as an attracting planet. So it's pulling in, pulling in, pulling in. So what you are wanting in this career area, it's attracting to you. So call it to you at this particular time, okay? Now, Venus is also great for pulling commitment to you. Maybe you want to be committed to some things, some job, some ambition, or some direction you would like to go. But I would love for you to be committed to having that promotion if that is something that you're really wanting to call into your life at this time as well. So whatever you're calling in, it's seeking you as well at this time, okay? Now, when we get to the 8th, we are going to have this new moon solar eclipse, and this one is dancing right there at 19 degrees of Aries. So again, still rocking and rolling, Cancer, for you in the top of your chart. Now, I think that because this is a solar return, and you saw in your family life, in your 4th house, at the lunar eclipse, that there were things about your roots, your family system, a domestic situation had to go. Some kind of relationship had to be let go, or your relationship to your beliefs and dynamics about home, about your own roots. This particular solar eclipse has an opportunity to give you a start out in the world by name, by what you want to be recognized for, in a completely different direction, but you're having to take courage to pull it forward. Like, it is you that is doing it. So I want to say this: if you've been thinking about applying for that different job, different position, different direction of work that you wanted to go, if you've been thinking about actually stepping into your retirement and you've kind of been dancing on that fence of fear or something like that, or you've been thinking, I want to launch my own business, do it. This is the time over the next 6 months. I think you have a lot of energy to be able to do that. Keep in mind that Mercury being retrograde in this sign at this time, it's more of a time for you to review the step-by-step details that you need to take in order to make sure that your plan, your business plan, your life plan that you want to launch really has all the steps in place for you to be able to deliver it beautifully and successfully. Now, on the 19th, we're going to see the sun move into the vibration of Taurus, bringing light, heat, life, and motivation. And we get this switch in your chart to the 11th house. So now the month starts to become a bit more social, and you are motivated at a social level. So first of all, things having to do with friends, organizations you're connected to, things having to do with technology, right? These are all things that start to get busy in your world at this time. But I also think that it is a wonderful time with just the 20th, bringing the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction in Taurus into this 11th house area of your chart, Cancer, for you to say, okay, I'm having like a moment of clarity where I understand the groups, the friendships I want to be connected to. And I understand why I want to be connected to them, where they're helping me grow, where they help me feel and feed an aspiration that I really want to come true in my life. I want to build solid and steady friendships in my life that can sustain me and that I can sustain being in them. I mean, it's really so important that when we're looking at our social lives and who you're connected to, that you realize that your vibe attracts your tribe. And if your tribe is not bringing in the new vibe that you want to be living, you've got to make an adjustment here. The people you're surrounded with are going to be feeding the visions that you're carrying into your life. So the challenging part for this, Cancer, can be is if there are people in the tribe, or you happen to be the person in the tribe that doesn't fit the vibe anymore, it'll be time to let it go. But what's left over is something that is really brilliantly, beautifully sturdy, okay? Now, when we get to the 23rd, we've got this full moon happening at 4 degrees of Scorpio, and this is going to light up your 5th house space. So anything having to do with romance, anything having to do with pleasure, play, taking a risk, maybe things having to do with children in your life, okay? These are the times where the full moon is going to say that you need to end something, you need to acknowledge something, or there's an adjustment that needs to happen here. So first of all, you know, is there something that needed to be talked about, or it's coming up at this full moon where it's like, whether it was a secret on purpose or it just was a misunderstanding or whatever it was, the full moon is bringing it to light because a breakup with whatever this particular situation has been needs to happen so that a situation can become better. Now, sometimes, you know, we think about this practically. If it's in the case of children, is there a set of behaviors that have been going on and it's like we need to break up with that and create a different system in our life? If it's with pleasure, where you haven't been allowing yourself to have pleasure or to experience letting the world, you know, wearing it like a loose garment, seeing how it's in perfect order, but it may not feel like it's in perfect order to you, you know, learning to settle into the pleasure and simplicity of life. All of these things that create power struggle or create the ways that we manipulate life could be presenting themselves at you at this time. Now, I think that the truth is with this full moon, if anything feels deeply complicated or complicated, it's being brought to light to have this big, beautiful reset and help you moving forward. So it's really nothing but a good thing, okay? On the 25th, we're going to see Mercury come direct in the vibration of Aries. It's coming direct now at that 15 degrees of Aries, and it will fully leave that post-retrograde shadow time when we get to May 13th, and it gets back to 27 degrees of Aries. Now, remember, Cancer, if you're not sure how to find these degrees in your particular chart, I've got a video in my description box, how to find the active transit in your chart. Grab that so that you can see exactly where this is happening for you, okay? On the 29th, Venus comes home into the energy of Taurus. So this area of your chart, this 11th house, not only is it comfy, it's cozy, it's got life to it, but it's attracting in the friends who are influencing you and the people you are influencing. It's attracting in things for your friends and for the people in your groups and your organizations. Now, Venus is still Venus. A friend could become a lover. You could connect with and actually find the love of your life in your DMs, provided, you know, that's all above board, right? Right? These things actually do happen. And Venus is also a financial planet. So maybe this is the time where you are going to make that Instagram into a business, or you're going to create a school where you do homeschooling with other people, or some kind of social thing that actually starts coming to light, and it is of some financial value and benefit for you as well. Whatever it is in this social zone for you, Cancer, just know that Venus is working in a pure, comfortable vibration as it's rolling in over here. Now, at the end of the month, on the 30th, we see Mars moving into the vibration of Aries. So all of these things at the top of your chart in your career and that ambition, that reputation that you've been working on, considering getting your steps and your ducks in order. Now that Mars is here, you are ready to go. You're like, let's go, let's do it. I'm ready to be about it. And the nice thing about Mars and Aries is that it is a direct energy. So you're not pointed at a whole bunch of different directions you could go. You're going in one direction. It's like, I'm taking on this task. So it becomes very, very focused. Now, in the area of the career or your reputation, I will tell you, if there's been some stuff, Mars will bring conflict. It will bring conflict to your workplace. Mars can also represent conflict to your name, to your reputation, including getting divorced or something like that. So it can bring the conflict, but whatever conflict comes there, it'll be pretty direct and pretty specific what it is. But other than that, use this beautiful Martian energy to get moving, take the action to build, and have the energy and the courage that you need to do that, okay? All right, my beautiful Cancer friends, have a gorgeous month. I love you, and I will see you next month. Hey Leo, welcome to April 2024. Now Leo, as we're coming into this month, we are coming in with this Mercury retrograde, and you've got a lot of energy that is running just in the beginning of the month in general at the top of your chart in this 9th house space. So anything having to do with publishing, marketing, broadcasting, higher education, training, immigration, long distance travel, legal things, all of those things live in your 9th house space. Now with Mercury being retrograde right here at the beginning of the month, it's a signal to us that this month, if there have been things that have been unclear or decisions that need to be revisited, revised, you need to relook at something, Leo, in one of these areas, like you need to remake those plans, you should be able to relook at them, find the answers that you need, and bring this to some kind of close, certainly by the end of the month. But I think by the time the post-retrograde shadow time happens, May 13th, you can be like, okay, this is it. The travel plans are sorted. Okay, this is it. I'm officially launching the podcast. This is it. This is the course that I'm going to study. You know what I mean? So there's some sense of reviewing it here in April and then being more certain as we get to the end of the month and certainly mid-May about the direction that you are going or want to be going. So want to be going, I don't know if that's a thing, but the direction you want to be going. So just keep in mind that this month in that particular area of your chart has a lot to do with review. Now, as we get to the 4th of the month and we see Venus come into Aries, this is attracting more energy into this 9th house. It can also be pulling in more people who support you in this area that you didn't realize you had support or you had allies in that way. Now, the 9th house is also, like I said, it's a publishing, marketing, broadcasting kind of space. It's a teaching space. So Venus here is an indicator that you could also be making money or receiving money from this 9th house area, okay? Now, as we get to the 8th, we've got the solar eclipse happening at 19 degrees of Aries, and this is also in this 9th house space for you. So this is a total eclipse that is happening here, total eclipse. So you've got a full opportunity here in this 9th house to really get set in the direction that you would like to take courage and move into. Okay, this is Aries energy. Now, right now at this point in the month, it may not feel like, yeah, Stormie, I'm clear, I got the direction, but Mercury is retrograde in Aries, and the ruling planet of Aries is still in Pisces. So you don't have this abundance of clarity just yet, but the stage is getting set. It is working out, okay? So just give it till the end of the month to feel a lot more clear on exactly how this is going down. On the 19th, we see the sun move into the vibration of Taurus. On the 20th, we've got Jupiter, Uranus conjuncting in that vibration of Taurus, and all of this lights up your career house. And I will tell you what, Leo, I think if you have been waiting for the change, if you've been waiting to know that you're like on the right path, that this path can be successful, that this has value, this is the energy that you want. This is that space where you get this breakthrough, where you realize that you can build something in your career, your name, your reputation that we call you in public, something that you offer out to the world as a soul level calling. You realize at this point that you can actually offer that out and it can last for a long time. This is the energy of leaving your legacy in terms of what's going on in your career or your name and reputation life. So I look forward, share with me in the comment section down below, what are you building? What are you looking forward to feeling like you have like a breakthrough finally, finally in this particular area of your chart? So share that with me down below. Okay, when we get to the 23rd, now we've got this full moon that's happening in Scorpio at 4 degrees. Now this full moon, Leo, is asking us to end something, acknowledge something, or adjust something. Now this full moon is in square to you. This is a fixed square. So something that you've had in place or you've believed to be the thing for quite some time is actually getting pushed and it's getting shifted. So this is going to come home for you, Leo. This happens in the 4th house, the domestic space, okay? So things in your domestic life may become a little bit challenging, or something is revealed where there's like, a power struggle, or maybe, someone's coming to visit you and this puts a new dynamic into the family space, or somebody's moving in and this changes it. And this is, it is a temporary situation, but it will bring dynamics of relationships and dynamics of your home life, even dynamics, I think, Leo, of your history or any issues you're having with home, definitely to the surface, okay? All right, when we get to the 25th, we see Aries, Mercury coming out of retrograde in Aries, but I want you to keep in mind that while this will relieve a little bit of the tension, we really want to give it all the way to May 13th to feel like you have absolute, yes, this is the full meal deal clarity, okay? And then when we get to the 29th, we see Venus move into Taurus. It's very comfortable here. This is, again, attracting beautiful opportunities into your career or soul level calling life, or what we call you in public. Venus at the top of your chart like this can be as much of an indicator that you're finally up for that promotion, or that you've got different money coming to your career area, as much as it can be that you change your title in public. You get married, you become a grandparent, you become the volunteer of this, you take on a new title in the world as something that you offer out to your community. So whatever that looks like, Venus is pulling and attracting it in with some ease. So let the universe do the heavy lifting here. Let what needs to be attracted to you come to you, okay? As we close out the month on the 30th, we've got Mars moving home into the vibration of Aries, and this is delicious energy. Because in all of those 9th house things that you spent the beginning part of the month looking over, considering, revising all of these things, now when Mars gets into Aries, you are clear. Because Mars in Aries is going to move in one direction and one direction only. That is the brilliance of that energy. So the decisions and the actions that you need to take will become clear. And then you can directly take action on that one thing and this one area that needs to be done. And it's so nice because although Mars is Mars and it burns with a lot of impatient, impulsive enthusiasm as it's here in Aries, it does make you, move the distractions out of the way and go, I'm working on this. I'm studying this course. And by putting down the distractions and all of the thinking and feeling about and just taking action in one direction, your action is so focused and concentrated that it is loaded with courage and advancement. And that is a beautiful thing. Now, Mars is still Mars. So certainly somewhere in your 9th house area, if there needs to be conflict, Mars is going to bring it up and you are going to go probably head to head with whatever that 9th house conflict is. Is there something going on with legal? Are you having a fight with the airline because during the Mercury retrograde, you couldn't refund your tickets, but right? Like you can kind of see how this could definitely play out. But whatever happens for you, let me know in the comment section down below. I'm sending you a ton of love, Leo, and I look forward to seeing you every week as we travel through this April energy together. Bye, Leo. Beautiful Virgos, welcome to April, where this month you have got a lot going on in the 8th house. Okay, we've got action-packed, concentrated energy happening in this 8th house. Now, the 8th house is the house of intimacy and assets, okay? I also like to call it the house of detox as well, because sometimes we really have to just clear out what is going on in the 8th house space. But when I'm saying intimacy, I do mean sex, I do mean sexuality, I mean your reproductive organs and your body, but I also mean the deeper intimacy, which means that you and another resource are connected. And it's so deep that if you move, it moves. That if it moves, you move, right? So it's so deep that you see, you feel intimacy, okay? So this can be with a partner, this can be with a grant or a loan or your trauma, because one of those things makes a move and it's going to intimately have a connection to you at a very vulnerable level as well. So we've got a lot of changes happening in this particular area. Now, the other side of it, which is assets, has to do with the finances or the values that you're connected to with another resource. Oftentimes we consider it, your partner's money and things happening in that particular vein. Now, this month, as we're coming in, the ruling planet Mercury is in retrograde. Very quickly behind that, we're going to see Venus come into Aries. Very quickly behind that, we are going to see that we've got the new moon solar eclipse happening at 19 degrees of Aries. So all of this energy in the beginning of your chart, in the beginning of the month, is focused towards making really big changes in this 8th house space, really resetting it. But the changes are more about information comes up to you, or information appears to you, and you need to review it, revise it, re-edit it, reconnect with it, go back over that budget, go back over any debts that you have, go back to emotional, karmic, sexual debts that you may have, go back to, what's going on with your partner. Does your partner have debt and therefore you guys have debt, right? What are the things that are happening here? Because as the retrograde time is happening here, and the eclipse time is happening here, you have an awesome time to be really proactive and reset this area of your life by taking reviewed strategic actions. Now, it's really kind of cool that this is all happening in the vibration of Aries, because Aries is not interested in dealing with a whole bunch of different problems. Aries is ruled by Mars, so it's going to deal with one thing. We're going in this direction. So the nice part is that really the concentrated amount of energy for you this month to be reviewing is just in this particular area. So you can really bring that sharply to your attention and look at, do you need to detox the area of your intimacy, your assets? When's the last time you went to the doctor to make sure your reproductive health is in good shape, your organs are in good shape, depending on your age? When's the last time you got those hormones checked? You did the exams that need to be done as we age, right? So this is a great time to clear out any kind of debt that needs to be looked at, okay? Now, by the time we get to the 19th, we see the sun move into the vibration of Taurus, and this starts to light up your 9th house space. Publishing, marketing, broadcasting, travel, higher education, things having to do related to your faith, the legal system, all of these kind of things live in this 9th house, very expanded space. So as the sun gets here, Leo, it's bringing light, heat, life, and vitality, and you are like, this area of your chart is amplified at this time of the month. Now, just a day later on the 20th, we see the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction coming together here in this 9th house for you as well. So, one of the things that makes me think of is that something you are teaching or you are learning, or maybe a faith or a belief system that is coming into your life at this time, the Jupiter and Uranus conjunction is making way for something really steady and long-term to be built here. This is this place where I want to say, make room for the universe to surprise and delight you with how fantastic this area of your life can be amplified. Maybe there is something that you wanted to teach, or there have been some principles that you've really been learning, some philosophies, and now you see them more in solid, valuable action in your life. It's a really cool place to create something steady you can stand on. Now, for some of you too, if this does happen to be like you applied for school of higher education or training or a scholarship, or maybe you're doing something legal. I think that all of these energies this season really point to, especially with Jupiter being in the mix, and this being a Venus-ruled sign, to being something pretty positive in terms of the outcome that you probably really very much so enjoy, okay? All right, when we get to the 23rd, we have got this full moon happening in Scorpio, and this is lighting up your third house space. Now, the full moon is asking us to end something, acknowledge something, or it's saying we need to make an adjustment because we've got all of this light. We can see exactly what's going on here. Now, Scorpio tends to live in the sub to slash unconscious, in the deepest, most vulnerable pieces to us. So in your third house, that is about communications, it's about siblings, it's about deals, it's about contract, it's about people in your network and things like that, right? Scorpio may be showing you where there have been power struggles, where there's been manipulation, where there's been, negative conversation or gossiping going on that is not particularly useful. It's going to show you where a conversation needs to be had because it's pretty dark and it's pretty, scary in some way. But by bringing it up to the light, there is this transformation in how your communication area can go. Now, another thing I think of in this third house is websites and book writing. Okay, and teaching courses or creating courses. If you're doing something like that and what's been down here is like a block or fear or something like that, bring it to light. Say it, speak it out loud. Speak it out loud, because at this particular full moon, it's saying, just tell me what lives in your murky waters down there so that I can empower you by getting this into the light and changing it, like release it, let it go so that it can come back as something else. So I think it's actually a really powerful moon that we've got this month, okay? Now, on the 25th, we see Mercury coming direct in that vibration of Aries. Now we can start to move some things forward. On the 29th, Venus comes into home territory of Taurus. So now you've got even more energy in this 9th house space. So something that you are teaching, publishing, marketing, broadcasting, something in your legal space could be drawing in a nice financial benefit. Venus is still Venus. So you could decide, I want to take, or I want to be a part of this course, or I want to join this spiritual group or something like that, and you're needing to pay the membership fee or the admittance fee or the entrance fee or something like that. So Venus could just as much be you're putting a little bit of money out as much as money as coming in. Now, the other thing about Venus in your 9th house, Virgo, that I think is really very useful is that Venus, especially in the top of the chart, makes you very appealing and magnetic and receivable to other people. So if you did want to teach something at this time, or you needed to make a presentation, or you're just out there being on vacation, letting the universe be as glorious as it is on you, you might be coming off incredibly magnetic. So I would use that to your benefit. Now, as we close out this month on the 30th, we've got Mars moving back into home energy of Aries. And I love this because Mars just wants to work on and take action on one thing. One thing. It's not all splayed out thinking, feeling, intuiting, all of these things like it was in Pisces. So what you've been working on at the beginning of the month in this 8th house, where do you need to detox? Where do you need to look at these intimacies, these assets? Mars is going to go right at it now. It is going to focus your action on that one thing, which means that by the time we are at the end of this month, you have done a review of that area, your partner's money, the debt, the taxes, the insurance, the intimacy, right? And you are able to apply proactively solution into your life with your actions when Mars is here. Now, Mars is still Mars. So if there is a fight, if there is a breakdown before there needs to be a breakthrough that's going to present itself, especially connected to a joint resource, this can be something that definitely presents itself. But remember, whatever Mars is willing to have conflict about, it's because there is conflict to be had and it needs to be ironed out, okay? All right, Virgos, have a great month. Don't worry about this Mercury retrograde. Sometimes when the ruling planet is retrograde, we feel a little blah, but no worries. Just slow down if you need to, be proactive where you can, review everything that you need to. And remember, if you've got Mercury retrograde in your chart, instead of slowing down, this is definitely your time to speed up and come out. Bye, Virgo. Hey, Libra, welcome to April of 2024. And Libra, this month, the vast amount of energy and effort that you've really got available for you is going to be lighting up this 7th house space. At the beginning of the month, on the 1st, we've got Mercury retrograde in the vibration of Aries. On the 4th, Venus comes into Aries. On the 8th, we've got the full moon solar eclipse happening in the vibration of Aries as well. So all of this energy is, first of all, telling you that it is lighting up your 7th house space of conscious, chosen, one-on-one relationships. Now, these relationships could be romantic relationships like a marriage or a partnership that you're in, but it could just as easily be a business relationship or the relationship of even you and whatever you call a higher power. Now, the other place we can see this becoming available to be investigated is open enemies. You know that somebody doesn't like you, you've got an open court case, you don't like your boss, they don't like you, something like this. But wherever the conscious, chosen, one-on-one relationship dynamics are firing, you are being asked to not only really engage them, but with the Mercury retrograde all month long until the 25th, you're also being asked to go back over them, to review them, look at patterns, look at desires, look at conflict, Aries that has been there and why it's been there, right? So you may be very, very busy in the rethinking, re-listening, reconstructing of things going on in your relationship zone. But I want you to know that that's exactly what this month is built for. And even if you are feeling like, listen, my relationships are the best that they've ever been in my life, you want to keep them that way, right? And sometimes to keep them that way, you got to take out the trash. You have to pull out the stove and clean and look behind that just to make sure things are copacetic. You can't go 500 years and not clean behind there and think that the relationships are going to stay good, right? So take this as an opportunity, especially with the eclipse, to have a totally new perspective. I even invite you to that, to get up and be in your relationships and say, you know what, universe, let me set aside everything I think I know about this relationship, about what it's supposed to be, about what people are supposed to be doing, and let me have a new experience in all of my relationships and see them and see the desires of them and the actions needed to be taken from them from a new perspective. So I think you've got a lot of good energy you can put into that as we're traveling this month. Now, when we get to the 19th, we see the sun moving into the vibration of Taurus, and this is going to start to light up this 8th house area for you, okay? And just shortly, the day after that, just the day after, we'll see the Jupiter and Uranus conjunction happening here in Taurus as well. Now, this is another great, I think, strong indicator for you in the 8th house of intimacy and assets to make a really strong, steady, beautiful structure come to life in this area of your chart, because it's like, it's like a breakthrough happens for you in this particular area where you've been, you've needed to detox something, or you've had debt and now you're really making financial movement there. You've had things stuck with your trauma or things from the past that have been holding you down. Maybe there have even been things in terms of partnership, that real intimacy, the vulnerable kind that genuinely, securely ties you healthfully into another person. Or maybe it's an obsession that has tied you so damn tight to another individual that you haven't been able to get away from them, right? Whatever this is in this particular area for you, it's an opportunity for you to build something beautiful, valuable, that has a lot of structure. I love the idea of you having really nice passive income pulling in from here, especially since by the time we get to the 23rd and we've got this full moon happening at Scorpio, this is going to light up just your 2nd house because it's just next door. Now, the full moon is saying that something needs to be ended, acknowledged, or adjusted. In the vibration of Scorpio and under the full moon, this can be an income source that takes a very big change of direction. Now, whether that income source dries up, goes away, you don't have power or access to it in some way, shape, or form, or it is that you're having to look at, maybe there's been a hole in the budget, or there's been some place where you have thought, I really need to keep this, or this is really important to me, and you become willing to, Scorpio, let it go. You're like, you know what? I really do want to save more money, or I'd like to put money into this over here, so I'm going to end this subscription because this one's more important to me. or because it's scorpionic energy in the second house, it may be that someone else in your life, a partner, a partnership energy, actually needs you to put the money towards that or direct finances towards that in some way. And so you're in a little bit of a power struggle. You're like, I don't know if I want to do that. And this happens. Doesn't mean you don't love people. Doesn't mean any of these things, but there could be some real power struggles coming up around your money, but you have the opportunity to bring them to light, transform them in the light into a beautiful asset that can be yours and you can work with on the other side, okay? On the 25th, Mercury comes out of retrograde, still in that Aries energy. So here we are now. You've rethought these relationships until you're just about blind. So you'll be able to be a bit more clear in the conversation and the decisions in the thinking that needs to happen around your relationships. And I also think that maybe you'll better understand, having listened to the other person in your relationships, whatever they are, to maybe some desires that they have as well. On the 29th, Venus will pull into Taurus. And as we close out the month on the 30th, this is the energy I love, Libra, because Mars moves into the vibration of Aries. So it comes home. Now, Mars wants to work on one thing and one thing only. It's one thing at a time kind of energy. And for you, it is now taking all of these things you've reframed, rethought of, reconnected to, and putting them in action with what needs to happen in your relationships. You know, do you need to spend more time with your partner? Do you guys need to do something? Do you need to go ahead and plan and have that wedding? You know, do you need to file those court paperwork against your open enemy, or you need to actually go to court? What is it that's happening? But whatever it is that's happening, Mars in Aries is going to go right at it. So there's not all of this wishy-washy about what to do, when to do it. It's now I'm doing it. Let's go this direction. The thing you need to be mindful of, though, is that Mars in Aries is if there is conflict that needs to happen, Mars in Aries is going to do it. So the one thing you want to be mindful of is look before you leap, because impatience and impulsivity could start a fight that you don't actually need to be in. But if there is a fight, stay focused on what the fight is about. What is the root thing that you're really, really targeting into, that you can actually make this a productive little battle and let it be a victory on the other side. All right, Libras, have a beautiful month. I love you, and I'll see you next month. Beautiful Scorpio friends, welcome to April's horoscope. Now, this month, Scorpio, you've got a huge amount of energy living and working and bringing your attention to the 6th house space in the vibration of Aries. Now, the great news about this is that, first of all, it's very focused, okay? But also the North Node lives right now in the energy of Aries. So everything that is happening for you this month in this particular area, it's the destiny point. It is time to move towards it. We've also got Chiron in Aries that is going to be a part of this beautiful eclipse that we're having right here in this month as well. So really, truly, Scorpio, the thing I want to offer to you is that you are a sign that comes with a lot of change. And sometimes that change can be tumultuous. And sometimes it's like you're being reborn all of the time through a fair amount of intensity. But this month, I actually think, especially with that North Node energy being here, it is about this is the destiny that you get to step towards, because you have a new identity, Scorpio. You do have a new identity in this area, which means it's equipped with different information, attitudes, and actions that can be taken. And the eclipse and the retrograde here in the beginning of the month give you an opportunity to look back with completely different eyes and say, okay, those things I was thinking about changing, I see why, and I feel courageous enough to get set to make those changes. So I actually think that this is a good month. Now, when we're talking about all this energy being in your 6th house, what we're talking about is health, first of all. So I do think this month, Scorpio, I would love for you to really be paying attention to your health. This is also Aries energy. So anything that's had to do with your head, I'm talking concussions, traumatic brain injuries, optical things, you know, did you have something going on with your eyes? Did you have something going on with your ears? But anything especially here in the front of the head, and traumatic brain injuries is what comes up for me. So if you've had anything going on in your health area, especially around your face, be paying attention to it, this month more so in terms of, yes, Mercury's retrograde. So if you've had problems there before, you could have them where you need to deal with with them again at this particular time. Or, maybe you found out that you don't have headaches if you don't eat sugar, but you've been sneaking in some sugar. So it's like, revise that, stop doing that, right? We need to have a little revision over there. Now, the other thing that I was thinking about is this is Aries energy. So there can be conflict because it's a Martian ruled energy, but Mars is in Pisces. So if you've been in a fight about something with your health, so, you're trying to put that sugar down, or maybe you're fighting with your insurance company to approve that surgery that you need to have. This month, I think, is the time where you can get some resolution into those energies. Now, the other side of this sixth house dynamic has to do with work. And it's not so much your full career, but it's about the daily things that happen to make your work happen. And this includes your attitude about the work that you do. So because this is so much revision and reset happening this month, Scorpio, very seriously, you could be thinking, I don't know if I want to do this kind of work, or why am I so this attitude every day when it comes to looking at my work? Now, we're in a time as well of high AI. So there may have been changes in your work that were forced upon you. And now you're having to think, or you have a different attitude around your work energy. So this is the time where you're going to have this revision, a reset that takes you in a new courageous direction, right? Maybe you even started something before anticipating that you weren't loving what you were doing, or that changes were coming down the pike, or that you were like, I will not come to work and deal with this coworker anymore. I'm done. Maybe you're the coworker that nobody wants to deal with anymore, and you knew you were on an exit out, right? So this can be taken on proactively as a beneficial energy for you to bring back that project you were starting. Did you start thinking about starting that business even a year ago? And now it's time to really put the details of that revision in play and move it forward. So whether it is your health, your fitness, your daily routines, your mental health and wellness, the sixth house is busy and has your full attention this month, but it is also the area that is moving with new energy towards a destiny that you're supposed to be participating in. You just have to take a little bit of discipline and a little bit of proactive energy to get it moving, okay? Now, when we do get to the 19th of the month and we've got the sun moving into the vibration of Taurus, now we're lighting up your seventh house space of conscious chosen one-on-one relationships. Now, this can be romantic relationships, business partnerships, your relationship of you with a higher power, you with a legal system, or someone who's an open enemy, right? So the sun is beaming here, but whatever it is, you now are starting, your heartbeat is starting to be brought to the attention of your relationships. Just a day later on the 20th, we're going to see the Jupiter and Uranus conjunction here in this seventh house. Now, as Jupiter and Uranus come together, they are bringing an opportunity to create a signature that is so incredibly powerful in this relationship house with you, that it builds something that is sustaining and it is valuable over time. Like, you can really live and eat off of this. So sometimes what we see when we're dealing with the seventh house and relationship energies are, first of all, where we have significant in relationships in our lives, or where we want to pull in significant relationships in our lives, because we choose them because they can help us move forward, right? They help us build and know ourselves in a way that we can't just know of ourselves. Like with ourselves, we can only know so much and go so far. And then in the seventh house, we choose partners to come with us to take us a little bit further. But the other things are looking at what is possibly in the way of you having the best relationships available to you in your life. Now, one of the things I think of, Scorpio, is looking at where anger or resentment, Uranus and Taurus, right, has brought you to kind of a stalemate. You can't go any further. So you're learning to undo that particular energy. Jupiter in Taurus, where you're like, I'm learning to get past this resentment or this old anger or these old beliefs that were presenting themselves in my relationships, because I want them to be the very best that they can be, because these are the most significant relationships that you're going to have in your life. They will feed you and influence you every single day. So as they come in and pour into you, you want to make sure that you're also ready to consciously pour into them. Scorpio, on the 23rd, we have got a full moon happening at 4 degrees of your sign. So this is lighting up the first house space. Now, the full moon says that something needs to be ended, acknowledged, or adjusted. Now, first of all, because it's in your sign, something about an old identity that maybe you were carrying, to include maybe the way that you were dressing or addressing yourself or having people address you, is starting to become really different. And a piece of this, I think, has a lot to do with there were like little kinks in your armor. You know what I mean? Like maybe this was an old defense that you used to put up, or it's like a shield that was kind of keeping you in a little bit. You realize you're ready to open and you don't need to be protected anymore. So you're kind of ready to drop that, that shield down. Now, the moon is still the moon. It is a family planet. It's lunar, things connected to the family, connected to women in your life. So certainly there is reason to believe here that even though this full moon is in your first house, it could be bringing up something about your family or something about your childhood. And where this is really great and informative is it may be you able to look at your life and your past and your being from a different perspective than you ever were before. Because just as scorpionic energy is, whatever you see at this particular full moon and the following weeks that we're traveling in this vibration, if it was hard or painful or any of those things, it can also be transformed into something really healing and to where you're ready to go on a new path next. I absolutely love that. Now, when we get to the 29th, we see Venus moving into the vibration of Taurus, pulling in that energy. So it becomes this attracting in, bringing harmony, bringing blessings to this 7th house area. I think it's a wonderful energy for not only, romance and balance, but also just harmony in your relationships. Now, it could also be too that in the 7th house, if you have got something going on with an open enemy or a court case or something like that, you could be receiving a payout or some kind of financial investment that comes from that as well. Now, as we're going to close the month on the 30th, we've got Mars, your ruling planet, stepping into the vibration of Aries. And what I love the most about this is that Scorpio, first of all, you know how to work with this energy because it's one of the ruling planets. But second, all month long, all the things you've been looking at in your daily routine, your health, your wellness, your work, at the end of the month, you're not just thinking about it anymore and trying to carve a path. Mars is going to want to go in one direction. And this is great because it means you have clarity on where to take actions. Whereas throughout the rest of the month, maybe it felt like you were gearing up to clarity, you were having to go back over things, but you really didn't want to expand too fast, or you didn't feel like you could. And now at the end of the month, Mars is like, I'm going that way. And this is great because it's specified very, very, very direct action in the direction of all of these things you will have spent the month working on in your 6th house. All right, Scorpios, let me know what's going for you. Let me know what's changing for you in the comment section down below. I love you, and I will see you in May. Bye, Scorpios. Welcome to April, where this month you have got a whole basket load of energy living, moving, and having its being in your 5th house, which means this month is calling your attention to not only matters of romance, love, maybe being in love, right? Some kind of hot, fiery, delicious action over there, calling new partnership, new romance into your life, but also things having to do with maybe you want to make decisions around children, or your children are needing to make big decisions. Things like this, the area of children show up, but also the places where you have been wanting to take a risk, to express yourself and these kinds of things. It's all on the table for review this month. Now, what I want you to remember is that right here on the 1st, we've got Mercury going retrograde in that vibration of Aries. On the 4th, we've got Venus pulling into Aries. And then on the 8th, we've got the solar eclipse happening in Aries. All of this lights up that 5th house space. So what it is an indicator to us is that, yes, if you're thinking about things, If you're feeling like you are going back and forth about, should I be with an ex? Should I not be with an ex? Do I want romance in my life? Do I not? Should I start this business? Should I not? Should I send my children to this school? Your children are making decisions where they want to go. It's a rethinking, reevaluation time. Now it's exciting because the newness is here, but the clarity of direction is just not here at the beginning of the month. It can feel like a lot of thinking and not quite getting to the answer. Now that eclipse that's going to be happening on the 8th is going to be a power punch of energy because it's a total reset, Sagittarius. So give it a minute. Let the reset come. Something that you are looking for, a piece of information that you need to make a well-informed decision about a direction to take something is not available yet. So instead, use the Mercury retrograde that's available to you to look back, review, re-edit this area. What kind of things have come up while you're considering making this decision? Just do the review. That's where the power of the energy is going to be, unless, of course, you have got Mercury retrograde in your chart. Then you're likely going to need to be coming out, and not waiting so much to make those decisions. But in the general, you're going to want to wait to take that powerful action. Now, when we get to the 19th, we see the sun moving into the vibration of Taurus, lighting up your 6th house space. And on the 20th, we've got Jupiter and Uranus coming together in Taurus, and this lights up your 6th house as well. Now, the brilliance is that as all of these energies come into Taurus, your health, your work, your daily routine, Sagittarius, could start becoming expanded. It's getting bigger. There's more opportunities. Maybe you've been wanting to take on a really good health practice that is so valuable and steady and stable in your life that it can last for a very long time. You've been wanting to connect with health practitioners. You've been wanting information in your work, right? Any of these kinds of areas. Now, the brilliance is this area of your chart is blessed. It's like an expansion. It's like a breakthrough, like things that you thought maybe were never even going to happen start to come in, and there's a lot of value that comes to it. What I can tell you, Sagittarius, is just be a little bit mindful because you don't want to expand way too fast. Remember, a lot of the month's energy lacks clarity. So enjoy it. Enjoy the blessings that come here. Maybe don't make any super rash decisions, especially around anything financially, especially anything around your health, okay? But I think that it's okay to also understand that what is being built for you right now will last you for years and years to come, okay? When we get to the 23rd, we've got a full moon happening here in Scorpio, and this is going to light up the 12th house space, so the house right behind you. And this is the place of not necessarily secrets, but things that are going on behind the scenes, things that are happening in a space where you maybe are the only one who knows about them, or you're working on that research project. You're not ready to present it to the world yet. You're working on it behind the scenes. Maybe there's an old lover or an old, a longing. Like there's a longing that's been here, something from this 12th house space that is being lit up at this time. Now that full moon is saying something needs to be ended, acknowledged, or adjusted. And what it is it almost presents itself as a secret that you need to talk about. It could likely be related to your family. This is a lunar event, and you need to just talk about it. You need to say it out loud and bring it into the light so that it can be transformed, Sagittarius, into something really very valuable. Almost you've been holding on to it for too long, and now it's time to say it and bring it up, okay? As we get to the 25th, we see Mercury coming out of retrograde. And I love that Mercury's out of retrograde and we can start to get a little bit of clarity on decisions that you're going to make. But I still think give Mercury a little bit of time here. It needs to stretch, have its cosmic coffee, come back to life. You know what I mean? Mercury just wakes up and we can't be like, ooh, I've been waiting to take action. Let me at him. The energy is not quite settled yet. And remember, you're still going to be in a bit of a review of information. It may trickle down all the way until May 13th. But when we get to the 29th, we see Venus move into the vibration of Taurus. So this 6th house is really very lush. I feel like the daily routine that you're looking to set and build on is getting steady underneath you, so that when we get to the 30th, the end of this month and moving into May, the decisions and the actions, the physical actions you need to take are set and steady and solid, because Mars is going to move into Aries on the 30th. When Mars moves here, it wants to do one thing. It's pointing in one direction. It's not doing all this, that, and the third. It's going in one direction, taking action on one thing. And that one thing is going to be what you spent the beginning of the month reviewing in terms of all of this fifth house energy: joy, pleasure, play, the things with the children, romance, things that have come up. So now at the end of the month, you've got a solid platform and a solid structure that you have built your life, something solid on, and really defined clear action to take at the end of the month. Sagittarius, let me know. What are you building? What's coming back for you? Is an ex coming back? Are you in the place in your life where you're starting to think about starting that business or starting your family? Let me know. What are you thinking about starting that's your big risk, Sagittarius? Let me know in the comment section down below. I love you, Sag. Have a great month. Beautiful Capricorn friends, and welcome to April of 2024. We're Capricorn this month. We've got a bunch of energy running through your fourth house, which is our signal that you are learning about the domestic zone: home, family, real estate, property, your roots, your own internal psychological foundation, and certainly things about your past and your ancestry, okay? This month is a huge focus on it, but I want to say that at the beginning of the month, we're gathering a lot of information that's here, but it's under review and it's under revelation. It's here, you're reviewing what's going on, and no matter how hard you look to find out what's going on here, it's like you can't quite find the nugget of information you need to push it forward or to make really decisive action until the end of the month. Instead, you're needing time to process kind of the complexity of like what's been going on here, but you need the help of the eclipse to actually bring new eyes and new information to your surface. So right here on the first, we've got Mercury stepping into that retrograde in Aries, of course, lighting up this fourth house, telling us right here, mentally we're reviewing information, we're reviewing. Then we get to the fourth and Venus moves into Aries. This brings a little harmony because Aries energy vibrates like this. And it's a fellow cardinal energy, just like you are. So this imperious urge to start, to leap, to go towards something is very real. So you want to lean into what Venus can bring, which is a little salve into what's going on. Venus is not a go get it energy. It's an attract energy. So attract peace to you, right? Aggressively attract some peace, some clarity to yourself, some settling. When we get to the 8th, we see the new moon solar eclipse. It's going to be happening at 19 degrees of Aries, and this is a total eclipse, Capricorn. Total. We get a complete reset here. You can't see what is hidden beyond this eclipse. Let the eclipse happen. Work with it. It is going to reveal to you a piece of information. It's been too complex. You haven't been able to see it like this, or you haven't been able to emotionally release enough or take in enough to really understand this from a different perspective. That's why this beginning of the month portion where there's so much review on what already is and the things of the past around your home life is really critically important for you to understand. Don't leap just yet, even though that energy may want to like rush in. Remember, fools rush in, right? So we're going to hold on until the end of the month, but gather the information. Now, when we get to the 19th, we see the sun move into Taurus. And then just on the 20th, we have got the Jupiter and Uranus conjunction here in Taurus. And this is a big powerhouse amount of energy where it's saying, first of all, there's real stability to be built here, especially around things that have to do with love and romance. Children, if you want children in your life, things around starting or beginning to express yourself, or a business, something you're taking a risk with, pleasure, play, ease, right? All of these things are gathered at this particular time. And what Jupiter and Uranus do is when they come together for the first time in 14 years to really bring the next blessing, is that it's like, oh, okay, this creates like a leap, a big breakthrough, and a big piece of stability that you're building here. You can stand on this later. You're building a structure that you can you have the potential to really eat from this, have this as a resource in your life for years to come. But it is going to be based, this is happening while we've still got all of this Aries vibration happening as well. So one of the things that occurs to me, Capricorn, is that you're not going to be able to fully maximize this new thing, this new resource, this new outlet that you build unless you really understand your past. You review what's been happening before, because actions that you have taken in your past have brought you to where you are now. And if they are ones that are not going to be able to help you sustain this beautiful resource that you're building here, you'll tumble it, you'll pull it down on yourself. So you really have this opportunity between the Aries and Taurus dynamic to be understanding your past so that you really can build solidly into this new structure. Now, on the 23rd, we've got this full moon happening in Scorpio at 4 degrees. Now, the full moon says that something needs to be ended, acknowledged, or adjusted. Now, this particular moon in Scorpio, which is a water sign, sits pretty comfortably with your energy. You guys sit in a sextile, okay? So there's an opportunity here for you, but you're intelligently willing to take action on it as well. Now, in the 11th house, I think there's this story that presents itself, Capricorn, of like your friends, your social grouping, where you're like, this may not be, the best that there has to offer for me. If things are coming up around control, manipulation, things that maybe were hurtful or hidden before, this particular lunation is going to bring them to the surface, but it's not necessarily bringing them to the surface to end them, per se. It's bringing them to the surface to adjust them. Now, we want to keep in mind that while this particular moon is also playing out, Capricorn, that there's a really powerful Sun-Pluto square that's dancing as well. So there is some complexity. I know I keep saying the word complexity, but it's like a kaleidoscope a little bit this month. And so you're having to like pan back to be able to really take note of the entire picture that's being shown to you. So one of the things that you can do with this 11th house energy is, first of all, just step back and look at your friendships, look at your social groups, your social media. Are you attached to, attracted with, working with organizations that you feel like are going to help you further your aspirations? And if not, do you have people, places, and things in your life bringing crazy into your life, and they are not helping you get to that next place that you are really saying you want to go, right? If you're saying, I really want to have a family, I want to do these things, but your life looks like being out in the streets at 2 a.m., that may not be. You have to look at who are you running with, who is your playgrounds and your playmates, right? So this is a chance at this moon to bring it to the surface and bring it to the light and allow for some transformation so that you have this stability that you want going forward. You're surrounded by the right tribe who are involved in the same mission and go in the same direction you are, and they can help you learn. Plus, it brings a lot of emotional stability, which who doesn't like that? Okay. When we get to the 25th, we see Mercury coming direct in the vibration of Aries. The 29th will bring Venus home into Taurus. And the 30th of the month brings Mars back into Aries. So Venus and Taurus, both in comfortable signs. They're back home. So we've got full power going at the end of this month. Remember, back in February, Venus and Mars came into their new 2-year cycle with each other, which means that we start to look at how we are reinventing and relating to ourselves. And now, comfortably, empowered, with clarity at the end of the month, you're able to, Mars and Aries, take very specific, direct action in the direction that you would like to go. Everything you have reviewed, Capricorn, from the beginning of the month until now is showing up. And as you make your decisions, as you take that action, as you make, decisions in your home life with your family, you make that move, whatever it is, you build that house, you can feel a lot more secure that you are making it with very clear specified information, and also information where you have understood your past so you don't create that same wound for yourself again in your future. Capricorn, what's going on for you in your family and domestic life? Let me know what's changing and shifting for you in the comment section down below. I love you a ton, and I look forward to seeing you in the weeklies and, of course, in May. Bye, Capricorn. Hello, my beautiful Aquarian friends, and welcome to April 2024, where Aquarius, this month, the ground is absolutely loaded in your chart into your third house, the decision-making, communication, thinking space of your chart. So I'm telling you, Aquarius, if there are some like big decisions you needed to make this month, something that even, you feel like there's a breakdown in your communication as it's happening this month. You say something, the other person just misunderstands per se, or they're saying like communication just feels jumbled a bit this month. I want you to know that, first of all, it's right on time cosmically. We've got so much going on in this third house that the thing to remember about the beginning of April is that this is a time of just gathering information and doing a lot of review. It's not that you have a ton of clarity about what needs to be said, what needs to be corrected, what are the right decisions to make. There's not a ton of clarity in the beginning of the month. So I want you to know that that's there, first of all, because the energy can feel like an impulsive fire that is pounding in your belly, being like, do this, do this, do this, make this decision, go, go, go. There's an impatience that can almost feel like it's burning. And for you to act on that without clarity could lead to you making decisions, signing contracts, saying the thing that is not really what you want. So instead, I'm going to encourage you right here at the beginning of the month on the 1st, when Mercury steps into its retrograde, to realize that's what's happening. It's time to retrograde. It's time to back up and review information that's been going on in this third house. Is there a contract, a negotiation, a project you wanted to put out, a book that you are writing, a class you wanted to take? For my students who are studying, whether you are an adult or a child, it's a great time to review any of your courses that you've already taken. And I'll tell you this too. If you've got a whole bunch of courses and you haven't finished any of them, this is a great retrograde to go, okay, let me either get rid of some of these because I'm not actually using them, or to finish them. It's a great, great, great time for that. Now, when we get to the 4th, we've got Venus moving into the energy of Aries, attracting in. It's an attracting in energy. So first of all, this will bring a little harmony, a little bit of even keel, a little chill to the party. And we need that because mentally, I'm telling you, it can feel like the energy is really very amped up. Now, when we get to the 8th, we've got the new moon solar eclipse happening at 19 degrees of Aries. And this is where it's a total eclipse. So it's a complete and utter reset to what you were thinking. It's almost like information that you needed to make a really important decision or to communicate something that was really important. You couldn't do it because you couldn't see the information, or you literally were not the vibration of what you needed to be yet to share this message that's coming out. And really, it's interesting because when we look at this eclipse, please watch my video on the new moon solar eclipse as well so you can really breathe that in. But when we look at this eclipse, Chiron is so potent in its involvement here that it's like when you're thinking about your communication, how did you communicate in the past that actually was about being wounded? Or what did someone say to you in the past, even in your learning style when you were younger, Aquarius, or maybe you were at school and it really was a part of wounding your communication style? At this time, you're getting to review it because you want to see the past, get free from the past, understand that past so that when you take action moving forward, you're taking it from a place that is much more healed. And it's complex. This is complex stuff we're getting into, and we're getting into the mind, to the psyche, to the way that we've communicated, to the way that society has spoken into your subconscious mind in ways that maybe now you feel out of whack with, but you want to do something with. This can be a little bit tough to get through. But I want you to remember that the wound, Chiron, the element in place here, Chiron is not just looking at your life and your past from the wound anymore. It's healed a bit. So you have a different place to communicate from at this point, okay? Now, when we get to the 19th of the month, we see the sun moving into Taurus. And when we get to the 20th, we see the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction in Taurus. Now, first of all, I think this brings a fair amount, honestly, of well-needed and probably well-encouraged stability into the month because, you know, we've been in Aries season. Aries terrain is still hot and heavy. It's impulsive. It can be impatient. We're ready to go. And Taurus is like, let me just calm the hell down. I need to calm down. Okay, and so I think we will welcome a little bit of this energy to the table. So getting some grounding, getting your footing under you just a little bit may be really, really useful as Taurus season comes on. But the Uranus-Jupiter conjunction, as this comes together in your chart, this lights up the 4th house, home, family, real estate, property. So it is our signal that what you're building here in this very foundational place, whether it's you're actually moving or you find a place to live or you have this big breakthrough that happens for you, around things in your family, it's much more balanced. And what you build here can last and sustain and has value for years to come. This is really exciting. But the thing that we're also going to celebrate here is that some of the decisions that got you to making better choices at this breakthrough come from some of the healing from your past that you're now learning and seeing that you don't want to make decisions from the wounds from. For some of you, this is really interesting. Please let me know in the comment section down below who this is. What I see, what the vision is that you're dealing with a parent's house or trust or estate or something like that, and the parent has maybe passed on, and there is a story of that coming up, and you may sell that property or be done with it in some way this month. Please let me know if that's you in the comment section down below, okay? All right, now when we get to the 23rd, we've got the full moon happening at 4 degrees of Scorpio, and the full moon is asking us to end something, acknowledge something, or to make an adjustment. Now, this is lighting up your 10th house. So the top of your chart, Aquarius. So first of all, it's letting me know that something in your what you do in the world, we see you do it. So whether this is your career, whether it is your soul level calling, whether it's just your reputation, you know, we call you Bob, we call you husband, we call you wife, we call you grandmother, something you carry this title around in public because we can see you offering it out. There is a change coming here. And a piece of the change, I think, connected to this has to do with this has been a power struggle. Something about this has been a power struggle. Again, this is a moon, so it could absolutely be related to your family for sure. But more than anything, it's like whatever has been the power struggle here, I think for you this month, Aquarius, you move into a position where it's transformed. The power struggle's not there so much anymore, and instead you feel more transformed or transmuted or empowered, since that is, you know, kind of the role of Scorpionic energy, is to take us to this next place where whatever was the liability now becomes the asset. So really changes having to do in that career or how the status or title that you've taken even in your own family, I think can be really pronounced at this particular time. I do want to say, if you have felt, Aquarius, like what is going on with my career? What is going on with my role that I offer into this world? And I hate what I'm doing. I think that this moon offers some clarity on specifics. What is it that you don't like, so that as you move forward towards what you do want to be doing or what you do want to be called in the world, there's just like, you're empowered in the decision that you're going to make going forward. I absolutely love it for you. It may not feel the best, and it may also feel really great, but whatever it is, there's a change on the winds, okay? When we get to the 25th, we see Mercury come direct in that Aries vibration. So now some of these decisions that you needed to make, some conversations you needed to have, I think within the next couple of days, you start to feel that energy and that clarity pick up. We see on the 29th that Venus comes into the energy of Taurus. And on the 30th, we see Mars come into the vibration of Aries. Now, Venus and Taurus are back in their home signs, very comfortable, full power. So Venus is calling in calling in some peace, some finances, some harmony into this fourth house home space for you. And Mars in Aries is saying everything we've reviewed, all the complex things, everything that needed to be re-examined at the beginning of the month around your communication, your learning, your teaching, your book, your website, your houses, okay? Now you have a clear path as of the 30th moving forward to take action. It is clear and informed and empowered action for you, Aquarius. So really focus. If this is a career change, even that you wanted to put a resume out there, you wanted to sign a contract, you wanted to do something like that, at the end of the month, you have thoroughly reviewed what's been going on so you can know that the decision that you're going to make moving forward is on really solid footing. All right, my beautiful Aquarians, have a gorgeous month. I love you a ton, and I look forward to seeing you in May. Hello, my beautiful Piscean friends, and welcome to April, where this month the second house is absolutely loaded for you. And so this means right off the bat that we are coming into the terrain of your finances, okay? And not just your finances in terms of the money that you have, how you budget that, all of those good things, but also the way that you use your own beautiful creative skills and talents to make money, the prices you charge for your services. Maybe it's time to be asking for a raise at work based on skill that you are demonstrating. So whatever it is in your financial world, there is a really big call to making adjustments this month. But I want to say that right here at the beginning of the month, the first half of the month, there are changes that maybe are needing to be called into your financial world, but you don't have all the answers or the pieces just yet to fix it. But the energy being so much in Aries can feel like impatient and impulsive. I want to do it now. I want to fix it now. I want this now. So this month at the beginning of the month, while I think that the energy is good, what I think is challenging is not just leaping. Like, you've got to look before you leap. But first of all, you have to understand what got you in this position to need to review the finances in the first place. You know, Pisces, has it been like months of you're just whipping out that credit card to pay for stuff? Or, you know, are you not charging the right kind of prices or making the kind of money you would like to because something in your wounding has not given you the courage to ask for it and to call it into you yet? At the beginning of the month on the 1st, we've got Mercury retrograde in Aries. On the 4th, Venus calls into Aries. And then on the 8th, we've got this new moon solar eclipse in Aries. It's also got this conjunction with Chiron. So we have a lot to do here. That is, we need to review this, but you don't have all of the picture until after the eclipse, because what we're offered is an opportunity here to really understand that more than just pulling out that paper and making a budget. Like, what happened in your past? What happened in your past? And maybe you've had resistance to not taking those actions, those attitudes, and those behaviors around finance. What did you learn, you know, in your childhood? What was your childhood identity around finances? And now it's kind of catching up with you. And this sounds heavy, because it kind of is. Looking at old patterns and trying to break those so that we're not living that out again can be complicated, but this is also the best blessing that we have got this month, because it will show you very specifically, Aries, I go right at the problem. It's direct what the issue is so that I can make a course correction. So just know, in the first half of the month, going all the way through that eclipse, you are looking at a bit of a pain point. But I also want to remind you that as you're looking at this kind of kaleidoscope of who I've been and who I'm allowed to become next of money, Chiron in Aries is the wound to your identity, but it's also a healing. There has been healing. You're just not coming at this area of your life in the same way. You're not just looking at it through the lens of the wound. So you're able to make really big impact if you look back, understand it, and then apply some new learning and bringing some new structure into your life, which will be better done at the end of the month, okay? So it's more like, if you need to, just as an example, if you needed to get those credit cards in check, right? Because you've got an old pattern of just swiping, okay? You're reviewing it in the beginning of the month, really getting an understanding of where this comes from at an energetic level, obviously getting those numbers down on paper, maybe perhaps thinking about a program that you would like to enter into or a channel you want to follow for free on YouTube to really teach you how to get your numbers together. And at the end of the month, you can really fully successfully implement that. Now, when we get to the 19th, we've got the sun moving into Taurus, and on the 20th, we've got the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction in Taurus as well. So the rest of the month, the beginning part, we're like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to fix it right now. I'm going to win. And then we get, and then you don't want to do that. You do not want to just leap. Okay. Then we get to the 19th and the 20th, and the energy begins to settle because we come into fixed earth territory. And I think we will all welcome this energy so it's not so impulsive, okay? But also, as the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction comes around and it lights up your third house space, Pisces, decisions that you make from this point of the month are going to be a lot more steady. They're solid and they're long-term. Fixed earth energy wants to build something in the material reality that you can have for a very long time. So decisions that you make here, you're looking at them with different eyes, and they can be steady structures for long times to come. Now, other things that happen in the third house is, first of all, we've got all forms of communication. Teaching things, writing that book, signing contracts or negotiations for buying, selling houses, cards. It's the contract itself. But siblings also live in your third house. So the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction can be bringing a real steady healing and new structure with siblings in your life. For some of you too, you may be just in general taking a short distance trip, or you may be planning to take a short distance trip very soon in the future. But just know that this Jupiter-Uranus energy here, it's really a good omen of steady build, steady long-term material growth that is in your favor, okay? When we get to the 23rd, we've got a full moon happening in Scorpio, and this is going to light up your 9th house space of publishing, marketing, broadcasting, expansion of belief, of faith. Sure, long distance travel and things having to do with international business live here, as well as all things legal. Now, the full moon itself, Pisces, is asking us to end something, acknowledge something, or adjust something. Because this is a fellow water sign, there's an energy of ease here where, where other signs may actually struggle with this full moon. For you, it's a little bit more like, okay, I can face this. I can face new beliefs. I can face bringing in new teachers into my life who take me to the next level. I can face, the dynamics that feel a little complex within me that I need to outgrow in order to have a new experience. I also do think that, that willingness to grow in that way lets you feel really empowered and really respected in your own self. Now, if you happen to be a teacher or you make content or you do something like that, this can also be where we see over the next 4 weeks a real rise to your name in terms of being empowered and respected. Whatever has been in the dark and it's felt like a liability, this particular moon, I think, rises it to the surface and turns it into an asset. Now, when we get to the 25th, Mercury comes direct in Aries. So everything you've been reviewing all month, now your brain is literally like clicking into clarity in terms of what you're thinking, the things that you need to say, the direction that you want to go. It's starting to come more online. When we get to the 29th, Venus moves into Taurus. And on the 30th, Mars moves into Aries. So both Venus and Mars are in their home signs. They are so powerfully comfortable, which means that when we think about the fact in February, Venus and Mars came into a new 2-year cycle with each other in how we are reinventing and re-relating to each other. And now we see them moving in clarity and in power at the end of the month. The decisions you need to make, the plans that you put in place are, first of all, clear. You're going in one direction. I understand I'm moving here. I'm going here. You are so steadily empowered. It is extraordinary in what you can create at the end of this month, but it has all come from the review of past patterns of belief, behavior, ideology, and awakening to some new concepts mid-month, and then the clarity of like meshing those things together so that you can create a solid plan for change and for growth for your future moving forward. All right, my beautiful Pisces friends, I love you a ton. Have an absolutely brilliant month. I love you, and I'll see you next month. Bye, Pisces.